Well, Taste It is more like we're a small cafe,
Okay.
local cafe. We sell burgers, milk teas, coffee, rice meals, mga famous na sisilog, inana. And also sell desserts like cake, personalized cakes, and just a lot of things.
Okay, so are you part of an organization or just running this particular restaurant? Kaya kaning gisulti nimo nga CEBusiness unsa man ni siya? Is it
Actually, sir, that's just the title.
unsa?
Title.
Title na siya sa show. Okay. So but you're not part of any organization
No, I'm not.
of the CEBusiness Month. So this is good nga you're a business owner. You're the perfect person to talk to today because among pangutana karong buntaga man gud is kani bang ato ang educational system ba? Are we ready to be entrepreneurs? I mean, I feel like this is just my personal experience. I've not been in a school for a long time. The last time I was in a school, it was 2015, and I was taking up another course like you guys, mass communications in USJR. But aside from that, wala na ko ni atog eskwelahan karon gyud. Pero ako nabantayan ni atong una is ang ato ang mga curriculum is really murag cookie cutter for employment. Pero man trabaho lang ta ba? Unless of course you there's a specific course that you're going to take, an entrepreneurship, if that's a course. Imong tanaw, Lara, are we ready to be entrepreneurs, or these are just ideas that we're getting from the West, for example? Grabe ka ilang entrepreneurial spirit dito sa gawas.
Well, I think we have already been entrepreneurs since the start. I mean, it just goes back to history.
Okay.
But right now, as students.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by goes back in history? What do you mean?
Well, Cebu is quite known to be that we were that area for trading.
Okay.
And there's a lot of selling things here and there,
Okay.
trading. Cebu is the trading center, like a trading hub.
Yeah. Because of our location, diba?
Yes. And it's just kind of, it's like similar to what is right now.
Okay.
Since as students, I think we have all experienced this, where in high school, we always have this entrepreneurship month.
Okay.
And we all gather as teams or different groups that what we could sell for the school. And in the end, of course, we'd get a profit and the school's profit as well. So that kind of introduces us to the whole concept of businesses and entrepreneurship. So yes, I think we are, no, not I think, I believe we are already ready for entrepreneurship.
So the school that you went to readied you to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm not sure of the actual statistics, pero I heard this once a few years ago. I don't know if it's still true. Now, only 1 out of 10 businesses that are newly opened succeed. So the batting average of being an entrepreneur is very low. Right after the 5th year, manira na sila. So there is a barrier to entry to being an entrepreneur because of that figure. Nga kadaghanan sa mga startups will fail.
No, yeah, I get that. I mean, being a business owner is quite difficult, especially with it's how competitive it is.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you could go to a street, right, and just see Jollibee across the corner, and right across the street is chicken, like tigbaligyag chicken. So, the competition is there, but there's a difference between them. First is its price. If people can afford it, and there's also another where it's all about, the quality. It tastes good. It's good. You buy what you get. So I do understand why there's 1 out of 10, like most who succeed, because it's all about how you market yourself and how you brand your, you brand your business. It's just all the importance of between those two.
So mo lagi. So how do you encourage more people to become entrepreneurs when you have that glaring statistic, right? I mean, like every single entrepreneur that I know are always very optimistic, are always saying they can do this and do that. After mahurot ilang PC, di ba? So ang akong pangutana niya na is, shouldn't there be like maybe guardrails? Maybe Cebu or the government should also probably perhaps help entrepreneurs and create an environment that is conducive to entrepreneurship. Niya kung for example mo padong na sila ka-fail, matabangon sa gobyerno and so on and so forth, because every single entrepreneur in the beginning starts out very positive. I've spoken to a lot of them because that's my job, is to ask them to advertise, and usually it's people who have new businesses who want to advertise because they're new. Nobody knows them yet. So how my question I guess here, Lara, is saan man mo pag-encourage for other entrepreneurs to be as audacious as you when you have that glaring statistic hanging like a Damocles sword, right? Nga 9 out of 10 businesses fail.
Mm-hmm.
Unsa man mo sila pag-encourage be?
Here's the thing about
paminaw ako paminaw ni si Lara kung kamo nagunahon na mo mag-entrepreneur. Unsa man imong isulti nila?
Here's the thing about being a business owner. The number one thing, the big challenge you have to face is your greatest enemy. And who is that? That is literally you.
Okay. So man mo pag vanquish mo ang kagalingon. How do you kill your enemy?
Because oh no. No. Well, because we have the power, you have the power to stop what you're doing, but you also have the power to keep things going.
Okay.
So the only thing that's stopping yourself is just you. You are your own greatest enemy.
Okay.
And what I could say is that sure, it's gonna be very difficult. Like I'm gonna emphasize this.
Okay.
For the newly entrepreneurs or starting a business,
okay,
it's gonna be very difficult.
Okay.
It's not easy, especially if you don't know where to start. But you start somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere.
Okay.
And that's the greatest thing is you just need a push. You need motivation. And you gotta ask yourself.
So who do you ask for motivation? And to your point earlier, only you can stop yourself. What if you run out of funds? It's not just about you. Mapriso ka, diba? Like
Yes.
if you run out of funds, for example, that's not you. That's just you running out of funds, right? So and you've already pawned your liver and now your kidney too. Like you get my point.
Yes.
So it's not just up to you. There are market forces out there that's nudging you. You close down, oy. Some people don't know when to give up also, diba?
Yes.
And that's both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because there's always time for you to live and a time to die. What is that biblical passage? There's time for you to keep on keeping on. There's a time for you to surrender and quit, right? So lisod jud kayo kung ang imuhang ganahan kay ka mo padayon, grabe kay ka entrepreneurial, pero wala kay kwarta. For example, it's not up to you.
Yes.
Right? It's not,
that is true.
That is not up. That's not you saying I quit. That's your pocket saying
I'm done.
you're done here, bro.
Yeah.
Give it up. Right? So ang basabot ba is maybe like for example, tell me about your journey be. Tell me about how you got started. Did you start from scratch? I remember we had this conversation yesterday with what's his name, right? The Great Finds guy, right? He started selling with zero budget. He just bought clothes from where his mom bought for him. I mean, kanang nag-ukay sila niyang gibaligya and so on and so forth. So he used the money sa iyang ukay-ukay nga iyang gi-resell to giparolyo niya, di ba? So he literally started with zero, right? Literally because he just sold the clothes that his mom bought for him during their ukay-ukay expeditions. Ikaw, Lara, tell me about your origin story. Pinasuperman yung origin story na niya.
My lore.
Sige. What is your lore? Tell me about it. Go ahead.
Well, honestly, it started in high school.
Okay.
My mom and my dad has always been entrepreneurs.
Okay.
My mom, well, she started a business called Bunny's Cupcake House.
Bunny?
Bunny's Cupcake House.
As in kaning bunny, as in
Bugs
rabbit?
Bunny.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And she sells, pastries, cakes, and
okay.
we didn't really focus much on the burgers. Like it was like more of my, mom's vision.
Okay.
Like she wants to sell what she does for fun. And it started from there, but unfortunately the pandemic happened. I think this applies to all businesses as well. It was a challenging time and we had to, stop with that business. Until a few years later, things slowly went back to normal. We had to, okay, why don't we start a new business except instead of pastries and snacks, why don't we focus more on the meals as well? And honestly, it just started up from there. We opened our first branch at Pakpakan, and because our main goal for Taste It is, something that people could afford, and it's for everyone. And if you're just hungry, you just need a quick bite, then you're already there. And our goal is also to place them in near schools because I was a student myself. I'm always hungry. So I was like, you know what? I need a burger and some coffee, especially coffee. So, I just go there, and yeah, a lot of students enjoy them as well. Teachers, surprisingly too, they order from us, and even principals. It's kind of crazy to think about it, but I like how there are a lot of different, a lot of people or with different lores or origin story would just come by and taste it just to have one goal, just to eat and enjoy.
So where did you get your seed money? Are you like the Great Finds guy who started from zero, or were you off to a running start because you had your parents supporting you?
Well, thankfully my parents are very supportive, and they gave me a startup money on how to create this business, and it was mainly we all worked together. It was just not me alone working because I don't think I'd be able to handle that.
Okay.
I'm very
so
thankful.
You had a good family support system.
I'm very thankful for them.
So I think that's something that people don't talk about yet. They talk about entrepreneurship like they did it themselves, right? A lot of people are like that, right? When they succeed, they take all the credit, right? I did this myself. This is just all me. Nobody else but me, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is that it takes a village. It takes a lot of effort to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you really can't do it alone, right?
Yes, I really
there's something mga single-handed about the word entrepreneurship, di ba?
Yes.
Paminaw na ko bang ang expectation sa mga tao ng entrepreneurship, it's just you by sheer grit.
Yes.
You're able to succeed, but it's not like that. It's not as easy as that, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your support system.
Well, my mom and my dad, thankfully, they gave me, okay, this is your budget and what you can do with it. And don't worry, we'll be able to help you if things go south. And because, it's all about trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there were a lot of money to be spent.
You have the luxury to fail, because some people don't have that luxury, right? This is all they've got. And then if they lose it, they're going to be homeless tomorrow. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to eat tomorrow if they succeed, if they fail, right?
Yes.
So you have a cushion, right? You have what ang tawag nila parachute, di ba?
Yes.
Kaya kung ambak nimo, kung dili ka mo succeed, makabuk ka pang parachute. Ang uban ang ambak nila, kung dili mo succeed, patay. Literally.
Yes.
Figuratively, I mean.
Oh my gosh. But I'm very thankful and privileged enough that my parents were like my biggest support system. I mean, it's the money just comes from their hard work, honestly.
Okay.
And I'm just so forever grateful for them and thankful that they were able to, provide me these things. And it's because we have this entrepreneurship mind. So we just knew, okay, we just got to be careful what we spend, but we can't risk too much.
Okay.
But it's just all about
I'm curious
trial
about
and error.
Nobody is born an entrepreneur, right? I mean, like,
Yes.
we all have different minds. In fact, for me, like as a parent, I would consider it a failure if my kids are like me. I want them to be better than me, like 10 times better than me, right? That's the goal, right? And you have entrepreneurial parents, right? Are you sure? I'm planting seeds of doubt in your heart, right? I'm sorry for this, but
No
are you sure that this is what you wanted, or this is you being a obedient child and just going where your parents want you to go? Is this what you've always wanted to do, or did you want to do something else? I'm just curious. Come on. Mag-anisay lang tagod.
Game.
Wame say naminaw na tagod. Promise. Way naminaw na to. Promise. Imong mom and dad, they don't even know that this interview exists. Go ahead.
No, they're outside. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yawan ko na.
Well, I love what I'm doing.
Okay.
And my parents are so supportive enough. Like they are okay with what path I take.
Okay.
As long as I finish college.
Okay.
And as long as I could, get a job.
Okay.
That's what they only want for me.
So there you go. So what do you mean by get a job? So your education is for you to get a job and not to be an entrepreneur. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm planning to do both since I want to be able to save enough money just in case things go south and expand my business.
Okay.
Because I can't really fully rely on the business on that, for the funds.
Okay.
Because what if sales go really down? What am I going to do? So, I always have a backup plan. I would get a job, save enough money, and maybe hopefully open a new branch here in Cebu. So that's what I meant with getting a job to be financially stable to open branches for the business. So basically,
So you cannot
it just circles down.
you cannot stand the instability of being an entrepreneur only, right?
Yes, and
Yeah. So you have like a kind of plan B,
Yes.
right? Anong food man yun? Why food? I mean, like why not fashion, right? Why not transportation? Why not communication? Like I don't know. Anong food man yun?
well, because I love food.
Okay.
And my mom loves food.
Okay.
She literally bakes cakes and she wants to make a business about
Okay.
it. And it's in my interest. If I didn't like food or if it's not my niche,
Okay.
then I wouldn't make
Can you
this
explain to
business.
me when you say you love food? Because we all love food, right? In fact, we're all addicted to food.
Yes.
I promise you, all of us here will eat or ate already at some point today, right? I
just-
promise you that. In fact, we have eaten so many. How many years have you been eating? 20. He's been eating for 21 years,
Wow.
non-stop. Non-stop. Can you imagine 21 years of eating? He should be in a facility because I think you're addicted to food.
Especially only wings.
Only
yes.
wings he's addicted to.
Yes.
So explain to me when people say they love food. Of course, everybody loves food because
Yes.
everybody. What can you explain to me? What do you mean when you say when you love food?
Okay, here's the thing whenever I eat. I overanalyze, like, how did they make this? What are the possible ingredients? Did they put like thyme? Did they put like too much pepper, too much salt? Is there like butter? Like, is it perfectly cooked butter? Like, is it like dili ba pagod ang butter pagluto? So I just
So when
analyze.
you go to a restaurant,
No, it's just any food.
no, but so because you know if you made this thing, then of course you know how you did it,
Yes.
right? So when you go to a restaurant, that's what's going in your mind.
I just I taste butter. There's thyme, salt.
So
just analyze.
imong reverse engineer ang pagkaon. You're trying to figure out how it's done.
Yes, like
Okay.
I want to know since like okay.
Why that? Why do you have that urge to know? Because you want to make it yourself?
Yes.
Is that the plan? Okay.
Yes, and the thing is, like, me and my dad are very similar when it comes to that. Like,
Okay.
he likes to analyze things, like, why did it happen? How did that happen? Always asking questions, and like, just full of curiosity.
Okay.
And I'm a person filled with curiosity. I just want to, know things. Like, if makabaw na ako, ganun ko makabaw jud. Like, I'm just straight on hand. Like, I want that answer. And the reason why I love food, because I love to analyze the ingredients. Like how did this person make this? Like, what ingredients did they make? I mean, sure, like burger ikaw man nagluto, like grill man na, but like there's something behind it. Like, what ingredients did they put? Like, what type of meat did they use? Why is it so good? Why are a lot of people going here? Like, it's just a burger, bro. Like, there's a lot of burgers, but why this burger? Like, what makes it so different from other burgers? So that kind of gives me that, that mindset of like, it's okay to overthink and analyze. So that kind of helped me with with this
So
business.
he's got to make ganiha good Kara o unsa ng the role of influencer, social media influencers sa mga restaurants in Cebu. I don't know if you overheard us talk about it. Ikaw, Lara, like when you go to a place and review the restaurant, like what are you looking for? Like unsa may mong gipangita in terms of whether you're going to leave a good review or not of a restaurant.
Well,
Ikaw unsay mga una nimong tan-awon? What's the first thing that you look at?
the quality, the food, and the service.
What does that mean? When you say quality, what does that mean?
Like, the food is well made and it's like really good. Like, it's, you pay what you get. And for example,
How do you know if a food is well made? Let's just say, for example, kaning grilled simple food. Let's say grilled chicken. You grill naman na. So
Yeah.
How can you mess that up? It's just grilling. Like
Yeah.
how do you understand? Akong pasabot na pangutana is unsaon man yung pagkaibaw ko ang usa ka pagkaon gihimo nila og tarong or wala. Simple naman na. Imo lang i-grill, dili nimo palabian, dili nimo ipagod, dili sa nimo hilawon,
yes.
and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's fairly simple.
Yes.
What do you mean when something is well done?
Because, food and what you like is subjective.
Yeah,
And that means
exactly, right?
Yeah, and that means your review is subjective.
Yeah.
So if I like it, I'm gonna put a good review. If I don't like the food, then maybe like just a few stars. I don't really go below like 2 because it's
So kanang grilled chicken nga akong example, it's possible nga ikaw dili ka ganahan og medium rare, right? Dili ka ganing hilaw-hilaw jutay, di ba? So kung sakto kay well done, so you will give a bad review?
no. I would just say like by bad review, I meant kanang bitang dili luto.
Oh.
Like just they just gave me raw chicken or like
or something like that.
yeah,
right?
like kind of honestly bad. Like there's like
So-
nuggets and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
for those who are eating right now listening.
Yeah. So so kanang niana imuhang review based on your taste, di ba? Dili ka mag-ingon nga mag-generalize nga this is everybody will think that this is really bad because it's undercooked, right?
Yes.
This is your personal review. It's not anybody else's opinion but just simply
Yes.
yours. Aside from whether it's well done, what else are you looking for in a restaurant?
The service.
The
It's
service,
very
yeah.
important.
Okay, so tell me about your experience in that department, service in Cebu.
Well, as a communications graduate,
Yeah, yeah.
the most important thing is to, the customers. You entertain the customers well because
Okay.
they will reflect these, the people who work in that restaurant will reflect on your business.
Mm.
So if you leave a bad impression to your customers, that's gonna be, that's gonna negatively affect your business.
Mm.
Like, unsa maning kuan cashier nga maldita man ni magkuan man siya sa akong kilay-kilay na gani. Like, no, you should leave a good impression to your customers para mo balik sila.
Mhm.
Because it's good to be like balik-balik lang, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's just the things. It makes you happy, diba? It makes you like they treat you like a human being.
Mm.
And same goes to the others, like the customers. Treating.
Of course, that's ideal, right?
Mhm.
And that's what you want as a business owner. Akong pangutana siguro ani sunod is how do you translate that to your people? Because kabantay ko kadaghan sa mga restaurant again, if you talk to the owners, they want this and that. They're so ideal, as a communications graduate, you should be able to communicate with them, but they're not. Your people are not you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They didn't graduate communications, for example, right? And they don't have the same passion as you, and they don't have the same investment as you, right? You invested your kidney or whatever, right?
What if I did?
Whatever you invested in,
Yeah.
good money, right? You invested your future on this business, right? So dili sila as invested as you. So how do you translate that to your people? This is really what's baffling to me. Because I think kadaghan ako, even now in 2025, I still see a lot of restaurants that are really bad service until now, right? So how do you translate that to your people?
The thing about businesses is you will encounter a lot of people, their attitude, their personality, like their lore, their origin story. And because when I hired my employees, there's one thing that I don't look for their, let's say, experience, or I just focus more on their attitude and their personality. Like,
how do you know their personality when you only been with them for a few hours, right? Or a few
yes.
or a few days, right?
Mhm.
Kung ipa-repeat interview mo sila, and like even married people, like they marry somebody and after a while I don't know you, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's very difficult.
Yes, it is.
So what's your technique? How do you do it?
Thankfully, my parents know somebody, and that somebody knows someone, and it's just connections. Thankfully, like,
so you don't
makakaiya.
hire somebody that's not highly recommended by somebody.
Yes, because they're a good friend of mine. Like my mom's a good friend of this person, and she knows that she could recommend. And what we would do is observe first, and how they work with people, and how they work. And of course, there are instances.
Hit and miss gid siya.
Yes, it is.
Dili
really hit and
gyud
miss.
ka 100% accuracy kung usahay mapalpak gyud ka og hire, di ba? So but how at the end of the day, like what is your process? Like you've already hired the right person, right? But how do you make sure that person does exactly what you expect them to do?
Well, I don't fully expect them to do what I want to do.
Okay.
Because I want to give them that sense of freedom. Like you're a hardworking person. You can do whatever you want as long as you do your job. You can treat your coworkers with respect and the customers as well.
Okay.
So what I usually do is just make follow-ups. I keep a close tab on them, like chat, like how are you? How are things going? Are you okay? What's your relationship with this coworker? I just catch up with them, like treat them like they're a friend to you. Because to be fair, the business will be nothing if you don't have people working.
Yeah, exactly.
So I treat them with full respect and I treat them like a friend because the business is nothing without them.
You treat them like a friend. Kuya, sana kaya kanang friend, diba? Mangutang ram na usay, diba? Diba? Friend, kaning absent ako ha, kay migo bitaw ta, diba? What I'm saying is there's a possibility that this friendship will be abused, right? Because you're quote unquote friends, right? So there has to be like a kind of
boundary, yes.
What do you call it? Distance, right? Boundaries, right? Kinanglan nga dili gid sa palabi sa amigo, but you know, ang ako yung this goes back to tip culture. Like, ang ako yung feeling ba is some parts of the world have better service because they have a tip culture, di ba? Nga, at the end of the service, if I do well, then they'll give me a tip. If I don't do well, then I don't get a tip, right? Ang kanang magong swildado, like, you know, they receive the same amount at the end of the day, right? So, you know, there are no incentives to do well in the service part because whatever happens, whatever I do, magtabling-tambling pa ko diya, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna get the same salary at the end of the day.
Yes.
So, walay tip culture. So, is there something wrong or something that we can improve on in terms of our service culture in Cebu? I know you're only running 2 restaurants and you're relatively new in the industry. I'm sure your parents have been there for a longer period of time, but I think this is important to ask somebody who has a fresh perspective because sometimes if you've been in an industry for such a long time, you're already jaded. You've seen it all and you've tried to do everything and nothing works and so on and so forth. So you give up. So I'd like to get your fresh perspective on what do you think can we do with our service industry here in Cebu to improve it.
Not gonna lie, you can tell if someone likes their job or not. I've seen people like who like mag-job lang for the sake na lang, like, you know, for the sake of getting a job, and they don't have. I can't say it's passion because you know you could tell if they like their job or not.
Okay.
Because especially for
so what's your pep talk? Like how do you make them passionate about? I mean, let's admit it, right? I mean, being a waiter in the service industry is an amazing job. Like, you know, your job is to make people happy. That's a great job, right? But most people don't think like that. You know, they go to work because they need to feed their kids, right?
Yes,
they need to pay rent, right? And all of that stuff. But inspiring them, convincing them that you're actually making people happy. Lisod ka naman. You can say that to them, but at the end of the day, you have to convince them with that. You're not just gonna. How do you convince them? In other words, unsa man imong pep talk? Give me an example of a pep talk. I'm a waiter. Ma'am Lara, kaning mang-apply ko kaning waiter be kaning pila sweldo. Unsa man ko? Like how do you inspire me to make sure nga my service is good?
Well,
ko na
first thing I'd ask.
Wara ba koy kaning kaon pa, wa koy pamliti kaning pausra sa kuan be, kaning 50 dia be, kawari kog tops niya, pamliti na ko diri.
Well, thank you for coming for this interview.
You're welcome.
Here's some, snacks just to ease yourself, just relax and have a drink. You must have been, far away.
Oh, waka mo hiloy dia. Huh?
No, don't worry, it's safe.
Okay, good. Oh.
And what do you like to do?
I like to eat. I like to feed my children. Oh.
You like to feed your children,
yeah,
and that's why you're here.
I like that, yeah.
Yes. So, it must be, I don't know what's probably going on with your backstory, and I just want to know, why do you want this job other than...
Pangatanon ko nimo nganong
why do you want?
Because I want to feed my kids.
You want to feed your kids?
Balik na po dito.
Oh, you want to feed your kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yun na dyan na. It is how it
is. So what I'm saying, it's so difficult to inspire people, right?
Yes.
That's so difficult.
We have our own different lives, own challenges. I can't really, I cannot just say I relate to you, but all I can say is sympathize.
Yeah.
That's what we can do as human beings.
Because some people would say something like, like without you, this business will not flourish, and without if this, you'll close down, then you'll not be able to feed your kids, right? So kumanira anong negosyo. So make sure you do well, and so on and so forth. But some people actually also, like other businesses, especially in some parts of in the States, for example, Starbucks, diba? Their waiters, their baristas are actually like partners, right? They actually give them shares, right? Eventually, when they reach a certain number of years, and so on and so forth. So they actually have real stake in the business, right? Not just a worker there, but
Yes.
they're actually partners in the business. Is that part of the plan for you?
Well, buong manglawas. But I'm honestly, since we are relatively a small cafe,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just a small local cafe. And it's not a restaurant, but it's a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And if things go really well for the business, and open up a new branch, a new office here in Cebu, if things go really well, then yes. Because how I going back to your question with how I can inspire or persuade people to work, or inspire them rather, is to boost their morale. I think morale is important,
Absolutely,
for to have that synergy working
Yeah.
with people. Because imagine if their morale is down, that would affect the way they work.
Yeah, and
So,
your business, right?
Yes.
And that's what I mean. Inspiration is morale, right?
Yes.
If they're inspired, then they're gonna do their service well. If not, then they're not. So, in case you're wondering who you're listening to, Lara Curtez de Lara. She is a small businesswoman. She has a cafe called the Tasted Cafe with 2 branches in Lapu-Lapu. And of course, with us here this morning, the top of the morning team. You have any questions, guys? Christine, Hillary, and Ollie. And of course, Justine Narvius is already here. Good morning mo dia, Justine.
Hi, Jiggy. Hi.
Pagila-ila sa mo ni Lara. Oh.
Right. Hi, Lara. Thank you for joining us
Hi.
today. It's nice to meet you. And
Hi.
of course, top of the morning also to our Power Tops girls. Hello, guys. Kumusta? It is a beautiful Thursday morning, July 10th. And top of the morning also to all our listeners on 105.1 FM. Those who are watching us right now on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. So again, we have our special guest today, Miss Lara Curtez de Lara. I love it because your name repeats in the beginning and the end, no?
Yeah.
It's like an endless cycle.
I
You're a
get
full
that.
circle, no? Full circle. So Miss Lara de Lara, she owns 2 branches of her restaurant called Taste It in Lapu-Lapu. So I think one of the questions I wanted to ask, no, you talked about how this is a very personal experience. Owning a restaurant, I feel like it's a very personal business because you not only make a relationship with your customers, the one that you see every day, no, you cater a space for them to have meaningful experiences, celebrations. Then you also have relationships with your staff. No, so I think one question I'd like to ask is, what has this business taught you about people that you never expected to learn?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you so much. When I first started out, since we're still 2 years for Taste It, and there's one thing that really made me realize that there will be people looking down on you just because you're young.
Oh.
Yeah, like, oh, I have more experience than you. I know more about you. What makes you think your opinion matters, And that's the thing. Even it doesn't have to be in a business. It's everywhere, in a workplace, etc.
Okay.
So that's one thing that made me realize, like, oh wow, there are actually people who will look down on you just because you're young. But that won't stop me.
Yeah.
I have my own path, and I'll forge my own path.
I
Yeah.
like that you're very passionate in that sense. No, and I've heard this from a lot of entrepreneurs that are of Gen Z as well. And they somehow have that struggle of trying to prove themselves, especially when their customers are way older than them.
Yes.
No, when their staff are also way older than them. So you always have to have that sense of credibility, and you have to
Yes.
present yourself as someone who's responsible. No? But maybe for our listeners who are also Gen Z and who are young and maybe experiencing that same struggle, what advice can you give them? You talked about forging your own path. So how do you do that when you're starting a business and everyone doubts you, or maybe you doubt yourself?
Well, just what I said earlier, that the only thing that's stopping you is yourself, and you just need a little bit of inspiration. Take a break. If you just if you just wanna like kapoy man, kapoy na ko, like,
Which is very normal.
yes, like, there will be a certain time, like a really low point in life where I'm just like, man, what is this business? Like, what's the point at this point? But you just need. That would mean you need a fresh perspective. You need to talk to people who are business minded, like me, and it's just. There are a lot of great minds that could, help you out. And I think that's an advice I could give to even an advice for myself as well. I'm still young. I'm still learning things. And, maybe future me would listen to this. I'm like, oh, wow, I said that. But, one thing I could say to you all is just, it's going to be a rough ride. Like, trust me. It's not like in a sense that's also like the taxes, the BIR thing. Like
yes.
yeah, that's a whole different story. Yeah, but just
So is it difficult to do business in Lapu-Lapu? Like, what are the barriers to entry? Like, once a month, like, how are the taxes? Is it difficult to get a business permit, and so on and so forth? Is government making it extra spicy for you? Pun
Well,
intended.
no, thankfully, Lapu-Lapu is actually like they're very easy to work with.
Business friendly.
Yeah, they are business friendly, very business
So
friendly.
what are you talking about when you say taxes?
Oh, like the bills you have to pay, and you just gotta keep up with the finances. Like, oh, okay, it's the time of the month, guys. We gotta pay, and that it's just it's not disheartening. It's just like ano ko anasad. So like I think this applies to everyone. Like mga sweldo, like kuwari gapon sa taxes. So I'm like but because thankfully I have a bookkeeper who could help me out with that.
Do you think government needs to support you a little bit even more? Maybe like lowering the taxes, maybe, or I don't know. Like, do you feel like government needs to do more for small and medium scale entrepreneurs such as yourself? Kinanglan ba mo tabang sa gobyerno in terms of taxes? Maybe they can lower the taxes a little bit. Like, how much are the taxes in Lapu-Lapu anyway? Would you know?
I do not know.
Okay. But it's a sizable amount, right?
Yes.
So do you think you could be benefited from a little bit of lowering the taxes? Maybe butang ni mo rungs, different rungs, right? I'm sure people in Lapu-Lapu are listening.
Well, I don't know much about the
taxes part?
The taxes part. That's why I got a bookkeeper to do those stuff. I'm not good at math. But, honestly, it would be so beneficial to the small businesses that, the government could help out to those legalisod. Kasi mahal na kayang rent, mahal pa dyan ang mga bills, mahal na pa dyan, taxes. So, it's would be very beneficial to the small businesses na at least ma-lighten lang ilang load gani. So,
guys, you have any questions, Christine, Hillary, and Ollie? Go ahead.
So first of all, hi. Lara.
Hi.
Thank you so much for accepting this very last minute invite. So my question would be, this is in relation to Cebu Business Month. So in what way do MSMEs like yours impact like the growth or the economy or the community development here in Cebu? And does your business incorporate Cebuano values or principles?
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for the question. Since we are more with the micro businesses, we're less than 9 employees, and we're in Lapu-Lapu. And how I see the business contributing to the Cebuano culture and traits is we fully integrate the, what do you call that? The snacks. The snacks kanang, when you're a kid, you just go to the sari-sari store just to get, so I want the royal and the pandesal. That is such a Filipino thing to do,
Merienda.
Yes, merienda. Yes. And yes, and
Oh,
got
yeah.
literally alas stress things. And that kind of made me inspired. You know what? Let me push that. I want people to go to the shop. Gutom man ganan mo kung magmerienda. Tapos taste it na. It's I believe, hopefully we could, that has already been applied for the Cebuano traits and the culture. And, we are open to all. We're truly, how do I say this? Open-minded. We are full of varied mindsets that that could be beneficial to Lapu-Lapu and Cebu. And yeah, I think that's what I could say about that.
I like that you mentioned Lapu-Lapu, no? And I can imagine. I can imagine. Is it correct to assume that most of your customers, well, some of them could also be mga visitors from other nations, mga foreigners and the like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask that because I was wondering if there's a noticeable difference between a Cebuano customer and a foreign customer. I always ask mga business owners this because Jiggy would mention on his mga recent trips niya to Siargao, he would talk to mga restaurant owners, bar owners, and they would always say that tihik daw ang mga Filipino. They don't spend as much as the what do you call that, kanang mga visitors from other nations, mga foreigners, tourists rather. The tourists are the ones that splurge. So for a restaurant like yours, no, that has like a more of a merienda snack theme, what are the customer behaviors of a Cebuano customer, and does it vary from a foreigner's customer behavior?
I like that actually. Thank you. Well, for Cebuanos, malipay dyan sila. Hey, sana nanadyo tayo snacks. Makakaon na dyan ta. Nga barato pa dyan. Yes. So like they'd be happy like the snacks that they're familiar with. And like there were a lot of regulars already. They know what they want. But for the new customers, they don't already know what they want because the menu is very familiar to them. However, for the foreigners, the tourists, they said, "Oh, what's this? Oh, it's so cheap. What's it? What's it made of? Like, why? Like, there's a lot of questions, but in the end, it has that same goal that we want. Like, it's cheap.
Okay, affordable and for snacks. I think it's because most of is it correct to assume no ang Taste It you cater to all sorts of snacks, not necessarily mga Filipino snacks, but like burgers, milk tea, and the like. No, so these are not inherently Filipino. So I can imagine when these foreigners come here, they're like, ngano barato kaya atong burger, atong mga milk tea, atong mga kape, it's so much cheaper here.
Kung mga entrepreneurs diyan nga naminaw na to karong buntaga kasi si Joel Lim, entrepreneur man siya. I think he has a shawarma stand. Kamo diha kung naamoy mga i-share nga stories about your entrepreneurial lives, let us know. Text 0999-887-6070. You can also message us on our Facebook page, Tops Media Center, on TikTok. Kung naamoy mga entrepreneurial stories diha, kaning message lang, text lang, okay? Tell us and share to us your story. Truth be told, I actually also am kind of an entrepreneur. I've tried to do. I've dabbled in opening businesses and all of. I'm always thinking of the next big thing, right? And it's just really the time commitment, right? Because I have this media thing and I have this other thing, and sometimes, Mangod, if you're not fully focused on one thing, it tends to fail, right?
Yes.
So muna kung that's why I was scared when you said kanina nga mo trabaho pa ka niya pa kay negosyo, dili jud ka makatutok sa imong negosyo, and most of the time when that happens, the other one has to sacrifice.
Yes.
The other one has to take a back seat, and then this thing that you're doing takes the front seat, right? So mambiyaan gyud mo ako nagsuway ko na negosyo during the pandemic, right? I was a farmer, I planted cucumbers. In fact, si Joel Lim, gibaligyan na ako cucumber during the pandemic. I opened a Buffalo Wings store before it became a thing. It was called Wingman at that time, right?
Oh.
Inspired by Top Gun, right?
Yes.
Wingman. And I also opened a Face Boy. It is a using the face of the pork. It was like my solution to all skin lechon. So it was like all skin lechon, but only the face of the lechon that made it into lechon or something like that. But it's always about time commitment.
Yes.
And if you don't have the time commitment, I'm also not I'm not passionate about cooking. I'm passionate about ideas. I'm the ideas guy. I'm not the do-it-yourself guy.
Yes.
I have this great idea, and then I assign the cooking to somebody else, right? Because I don't cook, right?
Yes.
I can't even fry my own eggs. Not my own eggs, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Because it's impossible to fry.
Well,
it is not impossible, but I would never do
possible
it.
in a way.
Wait a minute. Hasol na kayo maglingkod pa kaldero. Anyway, so what? So akong pasabot is we all are only good at certain things, right? Ikaw, you're good at cooking, right? You're good at the kitchen. Am I right?
Kinda.
What are you good at? What made you decide to open this business, a restaurant pag yun, diba? So you must be good at certain things, right? Me, I'm the ideas guy. So that's why I failed, because I wasn't there in the kitchen, right? That's why I'm trying to diagnose my failures, right? I failed because I was not there at the kitchen. And I think if you're in the food industry, you've got to be good in the kitchen, right? So Ika, what are you good at?
Well, something that's not business related. I'm good with voice acting or voiceover.
Voice acting, okay.
Yeah.
So may labot na sa food industry.
That's the thing.
Okay.
I could, use my voice to promote
Okay.
our Facebook page by using voiceovers ads.
Okay.
But in the business sense, I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional cook, but I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm still learning.
So did you go to school for your
No.
cooking? Did your parents go to school in cooking? Do you need to go to school in cooking to be good at this kind of business? Because there's a lot of people out there who never went to school in cooking but have their own cooking shows, right?
Yeah.
They're not necessarily all chefs, right? In fact, an argument can be made nga If you're a chef, then you're more meticulous and your tastes are too high and mighty and dili mo accessible in yung pagkaon. So an argument can be made, if you're just a cook and then your food is accessible, then everybody will love it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just the same with you. I'm an idea type of person.
You're the idea kind of person,
yeah,
right?
and my mom is the one. Okay, let's do it. And my dad like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, the executioners. Not the literal executioners, but they execute my idea and like, okay, let's make this happen. Why not? Yeah, and I just shove some ideas down. Like, okay, it would be great if we do this. I feel like there would be a lot of customers if we sell this.
Being a voiceover artist, and anything, any endeavor for that matter, you can apply an entrepreneurial flair to anything, right?
Yes.
In fact, we are all selling something, right? First and foremost, product number one, you are selling you. Like you had to sell me, Ollie and Christine and Hillary, right? Are they good for the top of the morning show? Of course, on the first day, I already knew that they were good, but there was some selling involved, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So ikaw ba, how did you apply your entrepreneurial spirit in your voice acting? Kailangan ko mahibaw. Kaya ako, wa mo ko i-apply ng entrepreneurial spirit na akong voice acting, voiceovers, right?
Yeah.
I'm just, it's just there, but I'm not really actively selling it. Although I could. Tagay ko na kung tips ko. Tagay ko namin Justin ng tip ko. No? Or kami, everybody here in this room. How do you apply your entrepreneurial flair in your voice acting?
It's a big advantage already if you love what you do and you're selling of what you do.
Okay.
And that's already a big advantage.
Okay.
So what my tip is, let's say a portfolio, but in a voice acting, that would be a demo reel. That would be different. So, just practice all the time and just sell yourself out there like, hey, I do voice acting. Maybe I could, voice for your business. And that works actually. When I was an intern at CCLEC, I said, I also do voiceovers. And, I didn't know that. Why don't you voice over for our, for the RFID ad? It was a DORF. And that's honestly how you sell yourself, how you sell your voice. Like, I do this. It would be a great idea too if I could, open up some doors, open opportunities, or like, hey, I could do this. Maybe this would be, beneficial for your company or your business.
Isn't it kaning murag to correct, pardon me the term, murag baga nakignaong ba nga maayo ko, di ba? Like lisod mo na, di ba? Like that's why I always saying being a marketing person or salesperson and a talent are two different things. They're two different animals, right? You can't be the product and the salesperson too. Lisod gayo nga, you have to hire me because I'm good, right? But you're tooting your own horn. Lisod gayo, right?
Yes,
but if you have a manager, for example, right? For example, I'm managing Justine. She's a singer, right? She's a musical artist, right? She's a singer. So I tell everybody, she's a good singer. You should hire her because she's a great singer, and so on and so forth, right? At least dili siya nang hambog, di ba? Kung si Justin, maadto ka Justin, maayo kay kumukanta. Di ba? Isn't that kind of weird? Do you find that weird, Justin?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, personally, I wouldn't do that also, no. But I think I know where our guest is going in terms of there are some opportunities wherein you can somehow show your skills, and then other people will realize, oh, she can also do this, she can also do that. So then it opens opportunities. So maybe you have to just package yourself in a way, banga you're not closing your doors to certain things. Kay I can relate to that sad in relation to singing. No, before I even did hosting or any sorts or even any kind of hosting or for events, voiceovers, and all that ads. I originally only did singing. Like I would just sing for corporate events, for gigs and all that. And then between sets, mo good, you have to speak. Alangan man, you don't speak to your audience. No, you just sing there. I also want it to be a very personal experience. So there were so many times in corporate events, for example, that the organizers would have a specific script that they would give me last minute. And they noticed that I can just memorize it quickly, or that if they told me, okay, you're on in pila ka seconds, just ad-lib ha. Okay naman ko because I feel comfortable. And so later on, they realized, you know what? You can host Monday. Can you also host na lang sa this corporate event? Can you sing and host? So ilan na i-package. And then later on, now I have gigs nga just hosting na. So I get what you mean that sometimes when you start off with one thing and people find out that you can do something else, it helps also because it opens a different avenue for something else. No,
That is
what do you guys
true.
think? Naka-try mo, ana? Like, especially because you guys are in mass communication, like, initially, you presented yourself with one skill, but other people, you were able to capitalize off another skill or make money off another skill.
Not really. Like I don't think I've ever made money for like any of my any of my talents. Pero naka-try ko before to sell like one artwork, but that's it. But before what I would say somewhere a skill that I didn't know I had and we're gonna discover as a school, I think, is like I'm known bangod sa among sa junior high na ako like to be this good English speaker ish. Ano, may mo deliver a speech. Dili po English, mo like may lang ko ako accent mo deliver a speech ano lang tingali. Or memorize siya kaya I can't do impromptus for crap. But like I did that in like I did that in kanang senior high na they were looking for a representative for the whole university to represent for the CESAFI oratorical contest. And I don't know, ako lang gi-pick. And mo to kay after ato kay murag I was trained to how to deliver an oration properly and everything. And actually it went from there. That's why I'm in comms right now because of that experience. Na gisulsulan ko din na may maka communications pag comms na kopod kay. Yeah, na-encourage ko. Yeah. So that's why murag ako siyang gi-take na opportunity. If I'm good if I'm somehow good at this, why don't I take this far? Why don't I try if like mo flourish ko in this kind of field? Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to shout out to loving Ma'am Lar from Margarita. Ila kaning Margarita?
Supervisor sa Taste It. Hi. Ate Marga.
Carmotes Francis, shout out
Yes.
Taste It kuno. Bunny de Lara. Kasi ni si Bunny.
My mom.
Hi mom, thanks for your support. We haven't tasted your burgers yet and your cupcakes. So please, if you have time, send us some. Si Margarita, because we do training and we have time to observe the person's attitude who applied. Suzette Bunch, so proud of you, Lara.
Oh.
Si Ching Lianos ug Tampus Roden. Daghang salamat sa inyo pagtanaw. Kamo diya kung naamoy mga ika dalit sa among conversation karon. We're talking about small to medium scale enterprises. Lara here is a business owner of two cafes, Taste It Cafe in Lapu-Lapu. You have any questions, any inputs, guys? Si Christine o si Hillary. Go ahead.
Adding to the question of Miss Justin, I actually first came into comms for the writing. So ako kay mo dyan na akong murag main like selling point or weapon kay like ganang kay ko write o ganang mostly sa una creative writing ko. Pero when I thought of it kay murag mas mas what do you call this stable or mas practical if I also do like other types of writing like technical, academic, or even like news writing. So that's what my main thing was back in high school. Like I was part of the publication and ana. But then when I went to comms, it was actually more of the speaking part, which was I was very like culture shock to go to like hello like introvert ko. How to talk? Like yeah, I don't know how to talk. Oh my god, like kanang
Yeah.
I actually wasn't expecting na like mag-intern go here like the radio and to like do this like talking and all. So yeah, I think that's how I transitioned from like writing only to now I'm already here and like kanang exploring more opportunities in hosting or in speaking as well. Yeah.
How about you, Christine?
I experienced this during pag junior high sad. Like I was tasked, I was one of the directors sa kanang murag among role play gani. And then diba when you're a director, if you have this vision and you have to kanang execute it gani, diba? And then kung may mana ka pwede ayo lang yung kanang emotion dapat ingani niya. Example nimo din makakana sa hala kabaw man day ka maka-act. So what if next time ikaw na lang sad ang bida? So like I think most to ang like I thought ako ganahan ra ko kanang mo direct ko, ganahan ako kana ako magmando-mando. And then I realized nga hala bitaw sa ganahan sa kog saleda ganahan ko mo acting. Ganahan ko ako mag-iyak.
Saleda. Kasi pasabot ng saleda.
Kanang movie, kanang bida, kana main character.
We're celebrating medium, small to medium scale enterprises, right?
Yeah.
This whole month of
National MSME Week.
MSME Week. Kung natong gisgutan ka naman ta, kamo diya kung namoy mga negosyo, let us know your journey. Just like Lara here, she has a small business, a cafe in Lapu-Lapu City. Is it because you're from Lapu-Lapu,
Yes.
Lara? That's why your business is in Lapu-Lapu?
Yes.
So inyo haning property or gaabang mo ani?
Nag-abang.
Nag-abang
Jud.
for both.
Yes.
So nganong duha asa dapit ang yung mga branches again? And what are the landmarks? So we can visit them.
Well, our first branch is at Pakpakan, the Runway building. It's at Basak. And
What is the runway building?
it's like an arcade area.
Okay.
Like there's a nearby school. It's called Duyan Learning Center.
Okay.
And just right beside it is our shop, Taste It.
Okay.
There's a big sign on the store. You can't miss it.
Okay.
And for the second branch, Babag Uno is Kinakalolo, just right across iFuel. And there's a signage that says Taste It. You can't miss it.
And it's already an invitation. Tilawi.
Yes.
Tilawi. So kumanto ko sa imong restaurant, unsa may una na kong tilawan? Unsa man imong signature move dia?
What are you craving for?
No,
Anything.
anything. I will eat a horse because I'm hungry.
Okay. What I can suggest
Okay.
is our rice meals. If you're sisilog or bacon silog or
Oh.
tapa silog or pork chop,
Okay.
sizzling pork chop.
Okay.
And if you just need something, a cold drink, perhaps you could try out our coffee. Or if you're feeling, wanna be refreshed, we'll try out our fruit yogurts with different flavors.
Okay.
And if you just want something sweet, then the milk tea.
Okay. All right. So this is actually very interesting. Sanga, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking you? I know you're not supposed to ask a girl how old they are, but I'm going to ask you anyway because this is relevant to my next question. I am 30 years old. How about you?
I'm 23.
23. So we're just 7 years apart. Yeah, gamay lang difference. So I'm curious ba, like, I know that the journey is hard.
Yes.
The journey needs a lot of support, right? In fact, you couldn't have done this without your parents, right? But daghang kay mga kaigsuonan diri sa Cebu. In fact, some of our friends here from in this room are probably like maybe they don't have a family that can support them in their business ideas, right? Unya lisod ka nang magnegosyo ka kay kung mapalpak ka wag yun hurot ka, di ba? Especially if it requires a huge investment, di ba nga? Renta lang daan, that's a commitment, right? Pila na kabuwan, pila ka tuig, it may be small if you think about month by month, but if you like, you have to pay like a year in advance or something like that, right? So lisod you guys. So for those people, do you recommend going the entrepreneurial way? Do you want people to experience what you've experienced, or would you recommend them manrabaho lang sa sila until they have a steady income and perhaps makatigom sila gamay para mag-abli og negosyo? Ikaw, you would not have done it without your parents, right? So would you recommend that to somebody who can't have the same support system as you?
Well, the latter would be, would be advisable. Like you save enough money to make a business. That would be the, what that could be done. However, if you really are passionate and you really want to open a business and the thing that's, stopping you is money, because obviously it's hard to open a business if you don't have money.
That's always the first. That's always the first
your enemy
hurdle, right?
Yeah.
The first hurdle, right? And again, we'll go back to yesterday. See, the Great Finds guy, right? He started with practically nothing, right? So there is a way to do it, right?
Well, honestly, you can do what you have right now. For example, the guest from yesterday, the clothes, right? He had it. Yes, it's just a matter of sacrifice. And if you're willing to make that sacrifice, you just have to see for yourself, like, makaya pa ba ako in the next few years? Kaya pa ba ding business for the next few business? Yes, you gotta think ahead lang. Like, always think ahead about the possible challenges you'll face and the possible wins you'll get. So, if you're in that position where you think maglisod mag-open ng business, if you look around your house, what can I make a business out of? Mag-online selling ba ko? if you have the ability to draw, then you can make money out of drawing. That could be your business as a freelancer too. And that is already something. You can make an income out of anything if you know how to sell it.
No, I remember ba in high school, like in basic entrepreneurship class or kanang
Yes.
mga economics, they would always tell us that one of the biggest skills any entrepreneur has to have is that solution finding skill. Kanang, as you mentioned, no, you look around society, you look around situations around you, and then you ask yourself, how can I capitalize off of this? How can I make
Yes.
money? What solution can I offer to a certain problem?
Mhm.
It's that's a certain business sense now that you can grow and that most people have. But
Mhm.
aside from that sense, I think this question I would like to ask for everyone. What do you think is the most important skill every entrepreneur should have? I think I'll go first na. Number one, I think it's knowing how to not take no for an answer. So I think that's so important because well, in life in general, but I feel like in running a business more often than not, no, you receive so many no's. Not only with conflicts with you having to source your own material and all that, especially in a restaurant, no, kanang finding a staff, and then there's so many issues that come along the way. Dealing and pleasing your customers is a whole nother realm that you need to deal with also. So I think learning how to take no as constructive criticism and knowing how to push forward after a bad no is a skill every entrepreneur needs to have. What about you, Jiggy? We'll go in a circle.
So what's the question again? What is the
skill,
number one skill? I think the one skill that you need to be an entrepreneur is, I think this is very important. You have to be passionate about it. You have to love it to death, because you know why? Anything that's worth doing needs to be done for a long time, right? And if you're gonna open a business and you're not passionate about it, chances are you're not gonna have intestinal fortitude. You're not gonna have the stomach to continue it because it'll be hard, right? So if you love it, then it becomes easy. Like I've been in this industry for too long, right? Or longer than how old you guys are, right? So
Age reveal.
because I love what I'm doing, right? And I'm still doing it until now, decades after. So you've got to love it. Otherwise, daghan kay rason to quit. I mean, the whole world is telling you to quit. And if you love it, then you won't say no. I think it's important. Love. LOVE.
Okay, I think mine would be adaptability. Of course, all businesses out there, because we have to face with reality that the world around us is always continuously evolving and changing. So it's important now for your business to always adapt to the new norms, to the new unsa mga uso and everything. Kay example for like kanang mga news publications karon, they have digital platforms na aside from their for kanang ilang mga traditional media ones, ilang print ones, and even example is ang i-compare mo sa TikTok ay sa ang Elio og ang Elio ba to katong Disney na movie, Elio and K-pop Demon Hunters. Why ang K-pop Demon Hunters is more successful than Elio? It's because ang K-pop Demon Hunters is streamed online while Elio is shown in
Famous.
theaters.
Yeah.
So mas daghan maka-access niya kasi mo may kanang patok sa generation karon na why spend like 300 500 to watch a movie when you can pay a subscription like let's say 500 per month to watch at only
At
movies
home.
na.
Yeah.
So like yeah, adaptability is for me is really important to a business to survive along the way.
Adding to that,
Ikaw kaning Hillary, what do you think is the best characteristic of an entrepreneur?
adding to Oliver's answer, which is adaptability, I think an entrepreneur should also know what's in the know. Like kanang mo kuan siya sa trends, to do market research. I think you shouldn't start a business without knowing what you're going into. Like example kanang ay mag-start lang ko kanang cafe kay ganahan lang ko. You don't like nang dili ka mo start og cafe without kanang knowing unsay kanang ganahan kanon sa mga people in this area, for example. So I think that is really important.
Information. You need to have information, right?
Yeah, to know what's in the know.
Yeah. How about you? What do you think is the one thing? If there's only one characteristic of an entrepreneur, what would it be?
Profiling. Kay
Profiling. What do you mean?
Kay my mom
Sabot ang
manggod.
profiling.
My mom kanang more magkuan siya og mga business. So before pandemic, na siya kanang nagmargon nga chicken na like gusto. And then I noticed nga iyahang mga kanang i-hire gani like mga batanon, mga single. Okay siya kay kanang abtik sila and all. Pero what I notice, they don't have the kanang motivation gani kanang mo mo trabaho lang sila kung need nila money. Unlike if pamilyado sila, mo na akong nabantayan kung dapat mo kaon ka ng mga pamilyado kay na sila purpose gani nganong kailangan mo sige jud sila trabaho. I think if you're gonna be kanang in the business or magkuhan kag entrepreneur whatever kanang I think you have to profile sad kanang mga rivals nimo kanang certain groups of for example in this area kanang unsa man yung mga batanon baning naa diri mga foreigners bani I think dapat na ka nga skills kay before starting a business, you have to kanang do your homework baya before you expand or launch or present your homework as it is.
So you need to study and research it. How about you, Lara? What are if there's one characteristic of an entrepreneur, what would it be? It's most important to you.
Well, knowing how to talk, because sales is very important. I mean, I'm still getting there. I'm not really good at sales yet.
Okay.
That's kind of funny as a communication student. But it's different, like, talking to your potential shareholders or like, your future, your partnership. It's difficult. It's different. And
so, you need a sales talk, right?
Yes.
That's what's important. So, one of the things that the advantage of youth is that the advantage of youth is also your biggest disadvantage because you don't know a lot. Then you will dive into things more than somebody who's already experienced a lot, right? So you're more daring because you don't know that it doesn't work, right? And sometimes also if you overthink it, if you over research it, if you kung imog yung hunaon ng tanan ng possibilities and scenarios and whatnots, the end result will be don't do it. Usually, if you overstudy something, at the end of the day, don't do it. Because it's not feasible. If there's a thing called overthinking, so if you overthink something, at the end of the day, you'll end up not doing it. So most of it is also gut feel, right?
Yes.
You feel it in your gut. That's why it's also important that you have to be passionate about it because you'll have one thing that most people don't have, and that's passion. And I think that could be your competitive advantage, your passion, right?
Yes.
You could have other competitors who will do whatever it is that you do. Magkakibaw na kas Pilipinas, mag-ablig barbecuean dia.
Naspikas
Tibuok. kanang milk tea. Ay, sus, may ablig kag milk tea. Daghang kag tao.
Yes.
Sundo na pug ka, di ba? So, lisod kayo. But what they don't have probably that you have is the passion, right?
Yes.
And that passion that's translatable to product. Passion that's translatable to service, right?
Yes.
Kanang ma-translate mo yung passion, but the fire in your belly has to be translatable. Mo na siya ang importante also. Ay comment rin si Raymond nga di ko na siya motuo nga 30 anyos ko Oh. Kuha na ko 40 na ko father figure pagyod. Biha ning Raymond Raymond Cuerpo. Sangay ra ba ni sa akong amigo nga si Raymond Serna? Atong tak na karon 29 minutos nang milabay sa alas 11. Ikaw Justin ba? Kanang pagka-entrepreneur ba? Dili man na lang how do you call this? Limited lang to opening a business, di ba? Kanang maghimo kag restaurant, di ba? Pwede mo na nga i-apply nimo yung mga entrepreneurship sa imong pagka-songer nimo, di ba? Pag imong pagka-singer, di ba? Imo nang i-apply sa imong sa tawag niya imong software business, right? Kana bang entrepreneurship ba? People think it's just about opening a bricks and mortar store, but it's actually not about that. Ang gitawag na siya spirit because it is actually a way of looking at the world, right? It's a way of looking at how you can make this work. Right? Sakto ba ko, Justin?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. No, I feel like, with the way I was raised also, I think my parents would also encourage more or less skills and that entrepreneurial spirit. Although it's very weak in me, it's kind of a weak spirit. No, it's much stronger for in my brother and my sister, especially from my brother. Pero I think you're right when you say na it has to be that spirit wherein you know how to find solutions to different problems. You know how to capitalize off of of everything that happens around you. That's the most important thing. Okay? It's not necessarily that you run a physical store. You know, you can have an online shop. There's so many things you can do. Voice acting is a business in itself. Being a what do you call that? Kind of a freelancer is a business in itself. No,
Kanang word ng freelancer. That's actually
Yes.
that's another way of saying you're an entrepreneur. You're applying your entrepreneurship to yourself, right? Kanang voice talent, for example, like us here, kitang tulo diri, diba? And all of us here actually, our talents are our voices, or we'd like to make a living off of it, right? You can go the route of, let's just say, working in a call center, for example, right? And use your voice because mo na ilang primary product, especially if it's a business process outsourcing job, right? You can go and be in a radio station, right? That's also another route, right? And you know, you can make voiceovers for AVPs, right? That's another route. You can host events. That's another route. You can make radio ads. So daghang kayog pamaagi nga dili lang ka kinahanglan mo abli ka og tindahan nga matawag ka og entrepreneur. You can apply the same principles to your own God-given talents, right?
Yes.
Sakto ba ko kaning mga kaigalaan?
That is so true.
it's a very fluid nga kanang title ang pagka-entrepreneur. But now you mentioned something way earlier before you asked me this question nga na curious gid ko, no. Lara, is it true that kanang Filipino culture nato ba? Especially because in TMC we're all about Cebuanos, Filipinos, what we know what's on the ground. Kanang, well, I think it's true, but as a business owner, do you think it's true nga when somebody opens up a business and then the neighbors see that they have this, a snack shop, a merienda shop, and then they suddenly want to open all that too, and now the entire whole street opens ingana. Is that a thing really?
That is so true. I mean, there were instances. I mean, our shop has burgeran across and milk tea and coffee. It's literally everywhere. But the thing about what my dad taught me, that is so very Filipino.
It's a Filipino thing.
Filipino thing, yes.
But my question is why? I've never really understood why. Why do you guys think that's a thing, Oliver?
To be honest with you, before you answer, Oliver, I think I need to give my 2 cents on this. This is not a Filipino thing. This is a world thing. Nagay mo succeed, sunod yung uban. Because you make mango it becomes the formula of success. If you succeed, then you become the formula of success. It doesn't even just happen in businesses. It happens to sports, right?
Yes.
For example, ang champion karon kay unsa man Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know if you guys are familiar with basketball. So every single basketball team in the NBA is forming their basketball team based on the champions kaning profile. So magsunod-sunod yun na because if you succeed, that means you found a formula for success. Mo nang sundon sa mga tao. What are your 2 cents on this, Oliver? Go ahead.
Mag-answer naman siya ni Sir Jiggy. Madla ko example kay ano nagod about kanang magsunod-sunod ganing sa kung say successful kay I came from Dalagat, which is the vegetable basket of Cebu, and yes. Ano siya there's this problem ang pugod sa kanang ang vegetables like most area na circuit around Cebu is from Mantalongon, which is a barangay from Dalagat. And ang pinaka big I think na export there is repolyo, di ko sure actually, but ang problem sa diha is kasi since akong kuya is naka-school man siya dito for like senior high, mubarato daw ang mga presyo sa utanon kay if let's say for this month or for this kanang season ang repolyo ang pinaka in demand silang tanan repolyo pod ilang ibaligya ending mag-surplus so mubarato gyud noon siya. So like mo to siya ang ila lang sundon kung kanang mo may patok this season, so we should plan this baka of sila kabalo na tungod kay silang tanan nagbuhat na sila pun tanan nagamay.
Ano magsunod-sunod magita?
Oo, magsunod-sunod mangutas. So Jiggy mentions it's because that's the formula of success. Ang gi-mention po ni Oliver, it actually bites us in the butt in the long run because although everyone's doing it, they think it's what's in, it makes prices go down. Pero kamo guys, ngano ana magita as Filipinos kamo we open businesses even though they're existing like right next to us.
I think tinuod man sa ni lazy ba ang mga Pinoy, di ba? So, kung unsay patok, kung unsay tanaw successful, di na ta mag-research maski igud ta may anang luto pero kay nag-open sila ka ng burger mag-burger sad ko kay mo may kuan tapulan man kay ta mo venture out kung unsay ka nang nindot i-business. So takabaw pag una ra dito nindot ang burgeran then eventually di na di ay kay lahi ang kanang lahi ba jud ang setting sa kuan. Kani wata ka ba kay mga very Pinoy kay ang namuyuan ni, so dili kay sila ka unsa nga burger.
Bitaw, unsa nang burger?
Ganahan sila mga kwek-kwek, mga street food di ay, di ba? So I think laziness lang sadyad.
Bitaw. What about you, Larry?
I think everyone has mentioned what I wanted to mention, because like when you see other people succeed, you also have that drive na I also want to succeed like
I can do
them.
that too.
So yeah, you maybe like Filipinos want to open up the same businesses. It's because of that na they want to succeed like how other people succeed. So yeah.
Sunod good.
Yeah,
Pero
sunod
my
yun.
question is, and Jiggy and everyone ba, there's that concept also of ikog. Like, do they not feel weird? Like, somebody just opened a milk
Yes.
tea shop. Then ako mag-milk tea. Like, are you not afraid nga tawgon ka og kanang copycat? Like, what? Baga ra siguro tagnaw as Filipino entrepreneurs. What
Yeah.
do you think is the issue there, Lara?
Okay, that's a challenging thing about opening up a business. Your competitors, like very the kanji kayo na. But the thing is, what you can do about it as a business owner. What's one thing you can provide that others don't?
Okay.
That's why that gave me the inspiration. Na daghan mag milk teahan na milk tea ra, daghan sa coffee na coffee ra, kana ra. So what's more? So that's my mindset. Like what else? What mag milk tea ako like magsakit akong tiyan na sigig milk tea.
So kanang milk tea, we all know that milk tea is accessible. It's the raw materials are very accessible and very
Yeah.
cheap, right? So in fact, there's nothing that you can't buy on Shopee. Right? Kung ano na giniwo ba, like magnegosyo ka diya, like whatever
Shopee.
there's nothing that you have, Lara, that I can't buy. I promise you that. I can tell you that right now, right? But the only ingredient that we can control is the LOVE, right?
Yes.
Right? Is really
That
the
is
love
true.
and
Yes,
the passion,
that
right?
is
So that's the
true.
only thing that you can control. And kung ang uban apiki, kung nagsunod-sunod sila sa negosyo nimo kay halin or mayong negosyo nimo, then they're probably not gonna have the same attention to detail that you have because you love what you do, and they don't because they're just in it for the business.
Yes, I love that actually. Love. LOV. I LOV that.
LOEV.
Yes, because that is so true, sir. It's just it takes heart, guts, and love to do what you really want to do and to make that successful. There are times like ma-discourage ko, like daghan man ni malit ana. But then I ask myself, why? I gotta figure out why ngano daghan na malit. Like unsay naa. So then I have to find a new solution on what I can do to bring customers back. So, it's just that's why I don't stick to one thing. Like coffee, no. We want to give more. And there are options, so many options to choose from. Because if gutom ka, dili mo ka mag-crave og burger. Asa mga rice ani, nangita ko rice asang buwad ani. Sige taga buwad.
Kung in kasog namina mo sa atong programa karong buntaga, if you have your inputs, join us in our conversation. Naghisgot kita og being an entrepreneur in this day and age. Is it conducive to the environment now? Are entrepreneurs being encouraged by society? Are the schools equipping our graduates to become entrepreneurs? Is the current environment with all of these developments in artificial intelligence and so on and so forth, right? Is this the time to be an entrepreneur, or is it safer to be working for somebody, at least dili ka maglabad sa ulo sa overhead, sa taxes o sa renta, di ba? I don't know, man. Like, these are very fluid times, di ba? Murag, everything is so unpredictable, uncertain and all of that stuff. And of course, kaning food man good, Justin, as I was telling you earlier, kani si Oli, 21 na siya katuig, sige lang siya kaon. Right? So everybody eats, right?
Yes.
That's my point. So kanang dili gid na mo undang og siguro kaon ng tao, pareha ra nag mga negosyo ka og akong amahan pilosopo sa akong amahan, pareha diham ko naliwat. May gyud negosyo sa kanang lungon kay dili gid mo undang og kamatay ang tao. Di ba?
Yeah.
Di ba? Di ba?
That is true.
So, mga negosyo
Yes.
kag butang nga dili mundang og konsumo ang tao kanang ospital, dili mo ginadi masakit mo gid ang
Yes.
tanan. So, maayos ra negosyo. So, mo nang maayo na ang food because everybody eats, and now everybody is so busy now that they don't have time to cook, to prepare
Yes.
anymore, di ba?
That is true.
Oh, kahasol lang magluto pa. And in many ways, if you think about it, kana mag-grocery pag-ugago, di ba? Para makahimo kag pagkaon, di ba? Kung hunaon mo, kung labi ng ikaw ang usa, like, hassle na kayo nga. Mapalit pa kag refrigerator.
Order na lang ko.
Mapalit kag refrigerator. Like, I'm thinking about a single person ba? Bago pa nagsugod sa iyang kinabuhi, like, fresh graduate, palit pa kag refrigerator, mangumpra pa ko. And so, mas barato pa siguro. Kumukaon na lang ko sa ilahang Lara. Diba?
Yes.
Pila may magasto na ko dito, Lara, kumukaon ko sa imuhang restaurant. Pila may budget ka na ko. Mamahaw ko, maniudto og manihapon. Be, pila
Well,
ka no?
you can honestly spend food with rice meals because our rice meal cost 100 pesos
Oh.
and that comes with drinks.
Oh
already.
my God, okay. Lamia na good.
Yes.
Okay.
And for example, you just want a snack, then
Okay.
I could say you could use 100 pesos and you can get buy one take one burgers
Oh,
and
may one
drinks.
take one. Share na ko ni Kuan, ni Larry og ni Christina.
Yes.
So ang dinner,
Dinner,
pare-pareha ra sad.
same as rice meals.
So makagasto og
Makasave
300
jud ka.
lunch, breakfast, dinner na. Ha? Perfect ra kay, di ba? So you get my point, right? Ano to?
Lahi, dili para sa kanang if magluto ka kung
Oh.
mo ni mong giluto after na pila ka
Ah,
weeks.
pero ang importante sa atong
Or days.
ang atong importante sa atong hisgutan ng buntaga is really kanang entrepreneur dili na sayon. Si Lara na surtian lang ni siya nga iyang parents kaning ni suporta niya, di ba? And kung magpatuga-tuga ta og negosyo niya, wala tay capital nga insakto niya nga ato ang negosyo nga gisudlan kay capital intensive. Di ayon na lang. Ayon lang patuga-tuga. Pero kato si the thrift guy, si
Sir Mark.
Sir Mark, right? Swerte to siya nga iyahang passion is ukay-ukay. Diba? Niya sige siya balitan og sanina sa iyang inahan, iyang gi-resell niya. Huno-huno niya pwede mo dining ako magnegosyo ani. So nakahimo siya sa iyang negosyo kay iyang tong passion, di ba? So mo nang nakasayo na kay naaman siya passion sa iyang gibuhat, pero I think he also still has a job, right?
Yeah.
Mo na ginaingon akong sultihan gid akong mga igsuon ani nga trabaho sa Amerika. Welcome to the third world, bro. I mean, you kaning dili gid mahimo nga usa ra ka buok imong source of income, right? Kanang entrepreneur, pwede na siya nga maka-sustainer nimo pero kuno na nga dili pirmi nga halin. Usahay sa nasa panahon nga kansi ka nasa panahon nga.
Yes.
So can you wither? I'm sorry, not wither. Can you weather? Sakto ba? Can you weather the storms? Can you sakto ba? Sakto ba mo sa lain pasabot anong weather, di ba? Can you withstand the onslaught of taxes and expenses, right? Kung hinay ang negosyo, right? So that's really so importante jud kayo nga nakay kaning baga kag lamlam ka og bulsa.
Yes.
Baga ka og pitaka, di ba? Kay kung nipis sa imong pitaka, kaubo jud ka, di ba?
That's true.
So I think that's really the story of entrepreneurship, right? In fact, I'm supposed to have Joel Juarez here, who's also an entrepreneur. I'm actually partners with him, so I can tell his story. Kani si Joel Juarez sa Coco Running. Runner ni siya tunguna, pareha nako. Karang bagdaganda mo apil mga marathons ba? E paghuman, nakaunaw na siya nga sayo naman ni pag-organize og run. So organize siya. So eventually he made a company out of it. He made it Coco Running. So again, this is passion. Gibutangan nig entrepreneurial spirit, nahimo niya nagnegosyo. So mo nang sayon kayo para niya kay kinaon guna niyang running gud kibaw gud siya inside out na so nagnegosyo siya race director o niya pagkuman siya he's the most dominant name now in that field. Ang isugda na ginagpagmahal sa iyang gibuhat, right? It all begins with passion, with love, diba? If you don't love what you do, and then
What's the point?
What's the point, right? Pero nag-ingon po sila nga, I don't know who said this. I think it was Warren Buffett who said this. Buffett ba na Buffett? Warren Buffett, right? The billionaire guy. Buffett, right?
I think so. Buffet ang puro mo na.
Nag-ingon man siya nga kana kunong passion kuno is overrated kuno because sometimes kuno what you're passionate about cannot give you money. You know what I mean? Ang iya ko nung opposite iya. Yun siya nga do something that will make you money so that you can fund your passions. Lain po siya og kaning pangunahuna ba nga buhata sa ang unsay tan-aw ni mga makakwarta ka, be opportunistic, just find whatever it is that you feel like makes money, and then once you make enough money, then you can do your passion. That's another route,
Yes.
right? Ang
That is
problema
true.
na kung successful kay kasi mong negosyo, Yeah, pag human makalimot na kasi mong passion usahay, di ba? Mo man may tabo sa to mga one night time ba because na busy naman kasi imong negosyo. Wala kay panahon sa imong passion, right? And for some people, myself included, that's also not a way to live life, right? To do something that is soul crunching and back-breaking in the sense nga you don't like it o murag bugat kay para nimo because dili man yung kaganahan ana niya. Ikaw just aren't you scared of that? You'll be doing something that is not your passion and you'll end up doing that for your entire life because now that you're making money, so you for example amo no nakagpalit og balay or make huge investments, right? And then you need to perhaps loan the house, right? So you have to pay for it, so it becomes like the thing that you're doing and it's consuming you instead of that thing that you wanted to do in the first place, which was something else, and you may not be able to afford the thing that you want to buy immediately, but maybe sooner or later it'll become something makes you enough to buy the things that you wanted to maybe later rather than sooner.
Yeah, honestly, for the longest time, no, that's been my belief. If I can't make money out of what I love, then or out of my passion, then it would be nice to make money and then live out my passion after or be able to fund my passion. And I think that's the way also that's a culture I grew up with because like there was also a time pre-pandemic or during the pandemic that I really wanted to make money out of music, which is that concept of like the starving artist kanang theory na typical young kanang ganahan mo make og money, you think makagigid ka makaana ka you think then it drove me crazy to think about streams and all that. And you know what, like I realized I don't want to live that way nga. I'm always on the look for like, okay, you know what, the next song has to be what is the uso nga. You also do research just like any entrepreneur. What's the uso nga sound karon? Who can I work with? How can I beat the algorithm? How can I make content? It's so taxing. And although that's what I love to do because I'm a creative, making music, content and all that, I realized that in my own path, I'm not saying this works for other people, but for my path, I could not at that moment make money out of what I loved or my passion. So I did other things. Like I thought that was for me the best job I've ever gotten, teaching in my alma mater. I taught in high school and I loved it so much, and I didn't realize that because of that, I was also able to gain connections, people that actually appreciated my music. I didn't expect nga my students would actually like my stuff. And then, syempre, with the money you have, you can use that not to work with different producers, go to different recording studios. Mas free na ko. Dili bitaw ko at the whims or at the mercy of like, oh, it has to work because I have no other choice. I hate that feeling. I hate giving myself that feeling. Wala ko ilain nga choice. So, I'm the type of person, I'll really get into whatever industry. I think Jiggy mentioned, that's like a third world problem maybe. But whatever I can do to live out my passion later on, I'll do that. So now, mas dili na ko pressured. Now I can record for fun, sing for fun, because I do other things that help me have the money for that, I guess. What do you guys think about that?
One of the things that is most underestimated ba? I really sincerely believe this one with all my heart. This is the most underestimated, understated thing especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. People don't give Lady Luck enough credit. They don't give enough credit to luck. Actually, this is not just about entrepreneurship, but mostly about entrepreneurship. Grabe yung kayong role sa swerte.
Yes.
Sa pagnegosyo.
That's true.
Diba? I mean, like, the more you fail, the more chances you succeed, right? It's really about a numbers game. Basta maswito naman ka, unsay mo work or say dili, right? And, your batting average increases every now and then once you've already failed and succeeded, kibaw na ka unsahan, maka-profile na ka and all of that stuff, right? It becomes like a skill. But at the end of the day, kung dili ka swertiyon, di juga swertiyon. Kung di malas juga, right? And no amount of hard work and passion will overcome luck.
What do you think about that?
Kung di malas ka, for example, kompleto na gyud tanan. Na kay the perfect restaurant, the perfect coffee shop. Yung mag-pandemic, unsa man na nimo be? Unsa man na nimo, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The end, right?
Yes,
So
unlucky.
grabe jud kayo ka factor ang luck. And I think when I see people, when I hear people talk about how successful they've become and all of that stuff, and they don't give luck a credit. They don't even talk about it, and they don't even say how lucky they are. I feel like, hey, forget about luck. You're lucky, bro. Like, there are smarter people than Steve Jobs. There are smarter people than Bill Gates, right? But it was them who succeeded because they were there at the right time, at the right
Yes.
place, right? Kana silang mga tawhana, dili man na sila anak gyud kangilngig. They're just things written about them because we always romanticize success, right? We
Yes.
romanticize it so much. Like that's tough journey, that they had nothing and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they quit school and they become this billionaire, right? But if you really think about it, like they just got lucky, man. You got lucky,
Yes.
bro. And I think a lot of people don't give luck enough credit. What do you think of that?
That is really true.
Yeah, I think yun naman gyud certain times would na murag kaya jud ka ngano to siya.
Yeah.
Ngano to siya. Like you followed the instruction, you did everything right, pero ngano to siya. Una to yun mahitabo like sometimes there's like sometimes there's like mga something things out of our control ganun mahitabo siya without explanation, and like you can't really blame anyone about it. Rather than like, mo lang ito siya.
Yeah, I think na like there are times na kanang ganing, it's ironic na there are times na kanang grabe kitag preparation, grabe kitag kuan, pero ato na time kay dili ta mo succeed. And then here comes this time na like, the next na kuan kay like, di na lang ko mag-prepare may ngana, blah blah blah, para dili ko makuha ako expectations, ara na hinuon mo succeed. So like, yeah.
Bitaw
the
no when
irony
you
is-
least expect it. Sometimes
Yeah.
it just
it
nimbuboom
just
ra ba.
comes here. Yeah.
That's true.
It's very ironic.
Ikaw, Christine, do you think that luck really plays like a bigger role aside from your personal efforts, especially when running a business?
Okay, ako maman, nagpatag na to siya. Yana daw ang kuan nga swerte-on daw jud ta siya.
Okay.
Pero I think nalang to siya ang gingon nga sama na nag-an nga nang murag na something sa akong mama ba nga usahay ma-fail gani ang sample business. Kay siguro sa attitude, ingana,
Okay.
personality.
Like a blockage.
Naay kuan. And yeah, for me, mutuod jud ko ganang swerte kay kana kay manifesting kana.
Yeah,
It's
that is.
like kana kung sige ni mo manifest aside sa you gotta work hard for it, but you also need kanang manifestation like permit jud nimo siya i-put sa imong mind, sa imong heart nga imo siya mo kuan ni siya mo lambo ni then mo na mo maabot din si lucky star mo.
Lady luck. Oh, tabangan din ka. Yeah, si
Yeah.
Lara, no, our guest for today, you agreed with what Christine mentioned about manifestation. What is manifestation for you as a business owner?
money? MONEY.
Manifestation. Money.
na.
Peanut.
Because I feel like if you're a very logical person also, if you're a person that follows the formula of success, hard work equals success, you won't also believe in manifestation, di ba? Kaya manifestation sometimes seems superstitious, but as an entrepreneur, I get the sense that you're both into
Yes.
the system of success and at the same time manifestation. Can those two things exist, like believing in luck and also being
Yeah.
hardworking?
Yeah, I mean, like what Sir, Jiggy said, like right place, right time. That's luck already. And a manifestation is like, you're wishing for something to come true, positive manifestation vibes and and it gives you that drive, like it's like a hope. You're giving yourself motivation. I think that's technically manifestation. You're just motivating yourself something positive. And that's an important factor you need to do, to keep yourself going. And with luck, I owe this to luck as well because I was just at the perfect moment, perfect time, perfect place that I thought of, you know what? I want to make a business. That's just the right place, right time. And it's just everything just from the journey I have as an entrepreneur is like just privileged enough, and I was lucky enough that it's still going and it's still successful.
And we're also lucky here at Top of the Morning, no? Also at Tops Media Center to be a witness of your journey, your entrepreneurial journey as someone in Gen Z, no, struggling throughout all these advancements and everything that you can expect that a young entrepreneur is dealing with, kay you've as Jiggy would say, weathered through it, no, pushed through that, and we're hoping, no, for the success of hopefully more branches also of your restaurant. Taste it. So before we end, Lara, is there a final message you would like to say to our listeners? Perhaps invite them to your branches or promote. Where can they find you online and the like?
Yeah, sure. So to those who are listening, you can visit our branches here at Lapu-Lapu, Pakpakan, our first and main branch. It's at the Runway Building, Basak, Lapu-Lapu. Our second branch is at Babag, Babag Uno, Iskina Kalulo, right across iFuel. And you can just visit us there. And we also accept Maxim deliveries and hopefully Food Panda. That's what I'm working on right now. And, you could order online and, we also do packages like you could order a bunch of burgers for your events. I've done this for our school. Yes, for University of San Carlos. The packages of burgers, there were a lot of burgers. I remember. It was such a busy day. And, you could order stuff from us online and just, hit us a message. We're on Facebook and Taste It is the name, and with the logo Taste It. So you could just find us there.
And how about your advice to those entrepreneurs out there who are thinking of following the same path as you? Not necessarily in the food industry, but any industry, just plunging into the abyss of entrepreneurship as opposed to working for somebody or someone else.
Well, it's more of a question I could ask you, because it is your choice if you want to do it. Is it your passion? Do you see yourself working on this for years? Is it a one-time thing? Is it a long-time thing? Do you see yourself with your future generations holding onto that legacy you just made? So the question lies here: are you willing to take that risk?
Oh, I love that.
Are you willing to take that risk? Our time now, it is at 11:58. 2 more minutes to go before we hit the hour of 12. My name is Jiggy Juice, and you've been listening to Top of the Morning with a very special guest, Lara Curtez de Lara of the Taste It Cafe, of course, as we celebrate us. What do we celebrate again today? Hillary, go ahead, Hillary.
So we're celebrating this week National MSME Week.
What does that mean? How do we celebrate this particular week? Unsa man yung mga celebration?
Well, normally the organizers, they hold mga seminars,
Okay.
or mga business investment
Kinsa man yung mga
forums.
organizers ani nga particular nga celebration o ni asa man ta maka-attend og seminar. Maybe si Lara og ako o kita diri tanan mo attend ta sa ilang mga seminar because kaning magong entrepreneurship daghan kaayong niagi na niani daghan na kay experience ba, and I'm sure we can learn a lot from people who have done this many times over, right?
Yeah.
Asa man ta mo attend og mga seminar ani? Asa man ni?
Actually, this is I don't know. As for the National MSME Week, there are activities that are spearheaded by government agencies, and there's also like the one I mentioned earlier, the CEBusiness Month.
Okay.
They also have the forums, business investment forums, and actually, I think this was tomorrow. There's this MSME educational tour. This is in I think this is online, Bunny. Yeah, this is online, and they have two what do you call this? They have 2 time slots, 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. And this is actually spearheaded by the CEBusiness Month na org, and also it's partnered by DOST7 and Department of Trade Industry. So as I've said earlier, it's a collaboration of both government agencies and also business organizations here in Cebu.
Perfect. Daghang salamat, Lara, once again.
Thank you so much as well.
We'll look for you one of these days, and kaning magbay one take one mi og anton yung burger ninyo.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
You know,
Rice meal lang ako, Jiggy.
rice meal mo. Rice meal mo. Ano sa imo si order nimo?
Burger, yeah.
Burger imo all. Ano?
Katulang kape gido ka ma.
Ikaw diha kaning tin ha?
So, rice
Rice meal pa di mo. Unsa man nga rice meal mo?
Panulak sad, please.
Panulak. Okay. Na free naman ang drinks, di ba? Kibaw ka, sige ko na karon ba? Sige jo, I cannot stop thinking about this right now. I have to share this, right? Nothing to do with this conversation. Kita na mo Superman pa? Ha? Kita na ka Superman?
Wala pa.
Somebody just gave it a 10 out of 10, man. And
the new one.
Because you know, like kaning Superman man good, like this Superman franchise is fraught, right? Like the last Superman murag katong kang kising
Henry Cavill.
no si Henry Cavill kasi direct ato. Forgot his name. Anyway, some
Yeah.
big shot director, right? Murag napalpak man dagod, murag dili kay siya wala kay siya, murag it was too dark, right? And murag people are expecting this one to fail again. In fact, there's a lot of reviews about it.
Yes.
Nga wala pa gyud nagsugod.
I've heard about it.
Bash na nila, right? So and now people are saying it's actually a great movie because it was shown already a few days ago.
Yes.
So it's good, right?
Yan na to.
This is the Superman kuno, more good. This is kuno the Superman. This is not the Superman that we want, but the Superman that we need. I wonder what that means. So you guys, maybe you can talk about it tomorrow, right? Let's talk about katong mga nakakita ng Superman without spoiling. No spoilers, please. Tell us about how you feel about the movie Superman. Kaya dili mo kuno siya reboot ka na may super dog kuno.
Yes.
Diba na may super dog? Kita ka sa trailer.
Crypto.
Kita ka sa trailer, ani? Kaning sani? Justin? Kita ka sa trailer?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I'm also excited to see Lex Luthor, who's
Oh yes.
the actor for that is Nicholas Hoult. I've been a fan of Nicholas Hoult since X-Men days. So karon to see him cross over sa DC side is exciting for me.
Yes.
Unya gadungan man ni siya og there's also Fantastic Four, right?
Yes.
Murag duha ka buok superhero movies nga DC og Marvel. Na this marks a kind of kaning watershed moment ba? Kay kani manggong duha ka mga franchises, murag napulaan na magong ang mga tao gud og kaning superhero movies gud, di ba? Kapulaan na gid sila. Sige lang tag superhero ano niya. Murag ang the genre ba? Sige sila balik-balik bitaw kung gitara pa ni pareha ra gyapon gising. Pool na kay paminawon ba, di ba?
Yes.
So ganahan na sila a reimagination of the superhero genre. So I hope that this is the beginning of something new. Kay murag this genre murag hapit na gini na paong ni hapit pa kay murag puol na jud kay tanan. I hope this Superman movie is the beginning of something new for DC, and Fantastic Four is also the beginning of something new for Marvel. I can't wait for that. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagpamino. Thank you so much for listening to Top of the Morning. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice.
I'm Exene.
I'm Ellery.
I'm Ollie.
What?
I'm Ollie.
I'm Justine Arvios.
And thank you so much for listening to Top of the Morning here in 105.1 TMC, the most Cebu conversations, the most Cebu events, and the most Cebu music.